Good.
Today, we will be dubbing my black-breasted red Old English game. He's a standard. He's a little bit old. I like getting him a little bit younger than this, but he's about 10 months old. What I do is I cut the corner out of a feed bag and you put him inside here, keep him calm. These are generally pretty calm birds if you pick them up regularly. This is not a masochistic ritual, anything like that. I raise standard, purebred Old English game fowl. And to be shown as purebred, after the year old, they have to be dubbed. And this bird will need to be dubbed to be shown. I sterilized a pair of scissors and I use flour on its comb and wattles afterwards. You have to have an idea what you want it to look like. It bleeds quite a bit from the comb, so some people use the comb last, but I do the comb first. I think that's what people see the most. You want it to look good. And you'll calm down in a second. You make the first comb cut. You got to use very sharp scissors. And this isn't like dubbing a bantam. These are very strong birds. You got to have good control of them. Sometimes you want to wrap the bag with a shoelace or a rope or something, or have someone else hold it. You want a nice cut. You can get the scissors for rounding them, but these straight scissors work well. This isn't a modern game. A modern game, you'd run it flat to the skull when you're dubbing it. I like having it up a little bit of a point in the back. It's not quite as high as I'd like it normally, but when you have someone else hold it, you can start at the back. Next thing you do is you cut the wattles off. Try not to cut too much of the throat off, and you can see the line where to cut right here. If you do cut into the throat, it's not that major of a thing, but you can see where the feather line is. Just do nice little small snips, and you'll know you'll get the right amount. Once again, if you cut into that skin by the throat, it's not that big of a deal. It's not going to affect it too much, but you got to get the wattles off right at that line. If you want to start with the wattles, you won't have as much blood on you, but sometimes they wobble around a little more at that point. I think the earlobes are the toughest part to do. You want to get that loose flap of skin off here as well. All this face skin you got to get off. It will heal very quick too. We're going to put him in a separate cage. Probably only for a day, maybe 2 days. And he'll be fine. You put the flour on it to stop it from bleeding, but he's really not bleeding very much at all. I'm surprised. Now we're going to cut the face and earlobes off. This is the tough part, I think, because you can really get into that bloody sometimes. This is one thing I didn't like on it. He had a little bit of white on his earlobe. This breed isn't supposed to have any white on his earlobe. I wasn't too happy about that, but this is going to take care of it anyways because you had to dub it. You may not want to use them for breeding. See, and when you get those feathers, it's a little bit tougher to clip that. You may want to sharpen these before the next dubbing I do. Earlobes off. You might want to take a little more of this off right here. And it cuts very easily. Right up to the ear. Both wattles. And the extra skin hanging. I sterilize the scissors by burning them. Put them in fire for a while. The other side. These Old English games come from fighting bird bloodlines, and that's when they started initially dubbing them. These are old Roman birds. These come from a good bloodline out of Missouri, but it's not as good as I thought. There's white earlobes. The breeding rooster has absolutely no white in him at all. Feathers or anything. This, I gotta make sure to get all of that white out of it. I don't like that for show purposes, but it's not gonna help it for breeding purposes, so you gotta make notes on that you don't use them for breeding. Last trimming. You can do another trimming in a few weeks, but it's right up here by the nostrils, and that's it. Put a little bit of flour on them, both sides. Get it out of his eyes and nose. You can either let him go or put him in a cage. I'm going to put him in a cage so the other chickens don't want the blood, but this is a nice black-breasted red. I'm going to have to trim that a little bit, and that's it.